You should have been talking about how it's the left, it's the radical, it's the socialists, it's the Democrat that has perpetuated white supremacy and systemic racism. They keep trying to spoon feed you more and more and more and more and more government, which takes away your autonomy. But you're so pressed to speak in such a way that's appeasing to white people that you can't say the truth.
No one here is
Are you acting right now? Do you really believe
I'm telling
this?
the truth. There's no systemic racism that I've experienced here in America. What system is racist? I think the only racism we've actually seen recently, systemic racism that we've seen, is the application of systemic racism against white people. The University of Western Washington, for example, has been trying to segregate dormitories, using black-only dormitories because black people feel safer amongst each other. But they're more likely to kill each other than white people are ever to kill them. That's just the truth. You have King Von rapping about killing other black men. Why should I think that the white man is the oppressor when black men are more likely to kill me?
Oh my
Tell
God.
me.
This is
So these types of black conservatives, let me just start by saying this. These types of black conservatives are a cancer to our movement, and at some point, places like TPUSA, etc., will make these types of black conservatives the face of our movement when they don't even represent our movement. And the problem is that when black men are articulate and saying the right things, everyone is so ready to say he's a good one, regardless of the fact that we know that systemic racism actually exists in the form of bureaucracy and government intervention. Okay? And that's what the conversation should have been about. You shouldn't be sitting up there trying to, yeah, it was Jubilee. So we know that systemic racism does exist in the form of bureaucracy and government intervention. And so you should not have been sitting up there having a conversation about whether it exists or not. You should have been talking about how it's the left, it's the radical, it's the socialists, it's the Democrat that has perpetuated white supremacy and systemic racism, especially insofar as they keep trying to spoon feed you more and more and more and more and more government, which takes away your autonomy. That's what the conversation should have been about. But you're so pressed to speak in such a way that's appeasing to white people that you can't say the truth, which is that it's a specific group within our government that gives us more and more and more and more and more and more policy that fucks us over. And then you get another group of people who the Republicans. Yes, the Republicans. Yes, I'm a conservative. And yes, I'm criticizing the Republicans. But the Republicans want to ignore the problems that the black community are facing. They don't want to come to our neighborhoods. They don't want to do work in our community. That's why I fuck with Dr. Ben Carson. Because, well, I'm good. My people's good. My neighborhood's good. Well, why the fuck do I care about them? They should care about themselves. Black on black crime. Bro, that goofy shit that y'all do. You had an opportunity in front of 10 million people to explain how the Democrats have perpetuated systemic racism through bureaucracy and government intervention. And you didn't do it. Is it because you didn't know? Or is it because you're willfully trying to speak in a way that will appease a certain type of demographic of people? So it should be disappointing to every black person who identifies politically as a conservative to hear someone speak so passionately and so ignorantly about systemic racism. It absolutely exists, and it comes in the form of top-down authority. When the government controls your home, make policies that keep the father out of the house, and create dependence on the government for food and jobs, etc., that's systemic racism. Because it is a system that keeps black people perpetually under the control of the government, and it just so happens that it affects black people the most. If we say systems are just people, then the more people you have in the way of your goals, the more racism you will experience. Because people have a propensity for prejudice, racism, discrimination, bias, prejudgment. Let me use a different word, prejudgment, etc. All the things that we say are a problem. And so what you do is, what the left does is they give you a department of more people. They give you a department of more people that are supposed to be working on solving the problem of racism through bigotry. They're bigoted toward people who have different political ideologies as them. So, I mean, it's just a cycle, bro. It's just a cycle. More government, more people in the way of my goals. And so I can't get to where I'm trying to go without jumping through more hoops than I would have if the government would have just stayed the fuck out of my way. That's what the conversation should have been about. But instead, you chose to take the easy thing. Oh, it's King Von. Shut up. And through that black man's ignorance, Amanda Seales was let off the hook. Because there are like countless policies that we could have pointed to in that instance. For instance, the war on poverty, the Great Society, the ones from the Jim Crow era, implementation of minimum wage laws, the abortion crisis, most of all, which is just ethnocide. And even Thomas Sowell said, just because we can't do everything doesn't mean that we shouldn't do anything, but we should be sure that we have our facts straight before we make crucial decisions. Even Dr. Thomas Sowell had that to say. So there is no black scholar on the left or the right that will fundamentally agree that there is no systemic racism. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? One of the greatest thinkers on the right ever, a black man, Dr. Thomas Sowell, describes systemic racism as bureaucracy. So I just don't understand y'all, bro. I just don't understand y'all. How can you sit there like it's just sad. It's just sad. Your motive was clear. It's just sad. You don't speak for us. You don't. It's not conservatism to sit there and pretend that certain problems don't exist. It's conservatism to question what we can implement or even what we should do less of to preserve our culture, our heritage, and our legacy of enterprise. It's republicanism to blame, pretend racism ain't real, and pretend that voting one way federally will make an immediate difference in the everyday lives of the American people. That's not what's going to make a difference. Social membership is going to make a difference. You want to talk about King Von? Do you go to those neighborhoods and help those people? Do you help those people? Do you knock on doors? Do you provide resources? Or do you just gaslight yourself into believing in a radical individualism? Because radical individualism is not conservatism. It's not. There is no foundational conservative text that you can point to, whether black nor white. You're not going to find a black foundational text like Up From Slavery, which is always taken out of context. And you're also not going to find a white conservative making certain claims that you're making. You're not going to find that. You're not going to find that. Radical individualism is not conservatism. Conservatism is about loving your neighbor, starting from home, taking care of the people in your surroundings, donating to charity, going to church. You don't like church? Find another social club to be a part of. Because we are the institution. Even our Constitution says, we the people. It's pathetic for you to be talking like that. And it's people like you that let toxic leftists who have hindered our progress as a people off the hook when you speak like that. Because there is no conservative scholar that fundamentally would agree that systemic racism ain't real in America. Again, Thomas Sowell never even argued that there was no systemic racism. He instead questioned the extent to which racism in America was holding us back. And through his scholarship, he proved that it was government intervention that affected our culture and trajectory. And that if the government would have got out of our lives, black people would have been better off. That's what the history shows, and that's what you should have been talking about. You should have been talking about the problems with the way that we did integration. And again, if systems are just people, and people can be racist, then if you have less people in the way of your goals, then you will experience less systemic racism.